Alright, welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. This is my one of my Ficus Benjamina varieties. It is pretty sure that it's a too little, although it could be a Rianne. It is one of these trees where the mother tree for it, I'm not really sure which one it was. One of them died. One of them actually got stolen. So I'm not really sure which one it came from to even compare to the mother trees, because the mother tree is not around anymore to even compare it with. But anyhow, I repotted it last August into this pot here. It was in a bag pot. It had been in there for some time. I'm going to show you some pictures here. Just kind of let them roll on in the background here for a bit and everything. It was a cutting I took somewhere around 2020. I actually took this one and tried to kind of keep it big. I even tried to root over a rock project with it. Really didn't work out all that well. And again, trying to show you guys some of those pictures as I kind of talk here or whatever. But anyhow, I have been fairly content just letting it grow and kind of recover from that repot. And I really didn't have too many big plans of doing anything. I did kind of notice that it's getting some really odd sprouts, kind of lower with some really big leaves compared to the rest of it. If you look at the size of those leaves there and then the size of the leaves up here, you know, if you I take this one and then just kind of compare it to these up here, I don't really know why it's getting some sprouts down there with such large leaves. So I have had it in the back of my head that perhaps I could go ahead, do some pruning, clean it up and everything. And just over the last few days, I've actually noticed this one and the other one I'm probably going to work today just being, I say, full of thrips. I see some thrips. Hard to really show what they actually look like, but I got one affected leaf here. I'll try to show you what to look out for, what I look out for anyway. Is you can see, try to hold that in the dark there, and hopefully get it to focus there instead of on the tree. But it folds up like that. You'll see it folded up just like a taco. Usually they start yellowing after it's been a little while. And then when I was a little bit younger, I used to be able to see them, and to be honest with you, it kind of creeps me out. It makes me feel like I got them all over me and everything, so I'm not even going to try to show you guys on camera. But if you unfolded that and looked, you'd see all kinds of tiny looking, almost worm looking little things kind of moving around as you open it up. And that would be thrips. And I have in the past, if I kind of ignore it, and like here's another one here. If I ignore it, it will get worse, and eventually it'll start kind of getting on the microcarpus and everything too. They seem to favor the Benjamina. And also, for some reason, the microcarpa that comes off of the graft of the ginseng type of ficus too. I don't really know why that is, but they seem to favor those kind of trees. And like I said, if I let it get out of hand, they do spread. But right now, rather than going through and finding each and every leaf, keep seeing more and more as I kind of get in here. They do bother me. That's why I'm going to kind of pull them off when I do see them. But rather than trying to get in and expect like that, I am going to go ahead and give it a good cleanup. And then just some other advice about thrips. When I am done cleaning these two trees up today, I'm taking everything I cut. Nothing goes to any kind of a compost bin or anything like that. Everything just goes right to some outside garbage, or even if I put it in my kitchen garbage, I make sure and just tie that off and then take it to the outside garbage right away. Just simply because I don't want anything, they do fly. And I don't want anything kind of infecting anything else, so that would be something I would do right away. I've been looking at the apex, trying to decide, do I want to keep everything? You can see it kind of starts here, and part of me almost wants to cut this off and wire this up as just more of a moving apex here, you know, get some more movement in that apex, if you will. But there's a chop here, I don't know if you guys can really see that, and then there's another one here where I've done this before, trying to keep the tree a little bit shorter. So I am going to go ahead, and I think what I'm going to do is shorten this one up some, because you can see it's gotten taller than this side, and wire this down with the rest of the branches, and then probably go ahead and take out half of this, and then wire this back over towards the middle, and just see how that works out. So after I do all that pruning there, I won't really need to go in and inspect all of this. Like if I decide to cut this branch off here, which I kind of just did decide to, I don't need to inspect all those leaves for thrips, because it's going to be gone. So Alright, there is still some more to clean, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait and just kind of get the wire on the tree, and then as I go, especially up here in the apex, there should be a little more that I'll clean out as I go with it. It'll just kind of depend on how it looks like once I get the wire, especially on the lower branches. I can kind of see where this one's going to wind up in relation to them, and then just kind of make up my mind from there. Alright, so the wire is on it. I only really wanted to do the primary branches. I did do a couple secondaries back here, just because as I pulled, I used the main wire here to pull this branch down, and it seemed to almost want to twist this side up, and I didn't want it kind of interfering with this branch here. So I did put some there. This is that branch that was kind of struggling to become the apex, if you will. And so now with the wire on there, I cut off all the straight up growth. And some of the straight down growth that caused. And then the same with this branch here, that was sticking up pretty good. And then up in here, there's still a ton of thrip evidence. And even without the thrip evidence, I'd like to try to get as many of these growing tips as possible. Try to make sure I don't lose any of these branches down here. Ficus will kind of tend to die back if they think it's getting its energy from somewhere else. Sometimes I hate it when people say that the tree is thinking, but when the tree's getting its energy all from one spot, sometimes it'll just kind of give up on some other branches. It doesn't think about it, it just happens. Took off a few more, a little more up here, put a little more bend in there too, just with the camera off. I was trying to look in here and try to get all of the folded up leaves I could see. Now, I see some kind of a bug moving around in there. Now, I'll have to keep an eye on it for a little while. The thrips really do like the new growth, and this should induce some new growth here soon, so I'll have to keep an eye on it, and obviously I don't want to prune it all down again when I start seeing that. Maybe I'll use a little systemic on it. I kind of hate using systemic, but there's another leaf right there. But we'll just have to see how it goes. Like I said, I'll keep a close eye on it. Doesn't look like much now, but this thing will leaf back out in no time. Did want to actually take a minute just to kind of show you guys the Rianne trunk a little bit, and a little bit of this experiment I had going on here. But anyhow, some aerial roots there, just coming out of, this is where I did a little wedge cut with it, and I don't have it in that pot anymore, but if I did, I could kind of show you how I made mistakes. I thought I was going to be able to get some thick wire and wire the wedge shut, and I wasn't able to, so I had to use some guy wires, and just the guy wires that I had, the way I had it set up in that pot, it just didn't work out all that well. Kind of opened up a little bit as it was healing. There, I just knocked off one of the aerial roots, but had I been able to kind of keep it shut a little more, you wouldn't be able to see any evidence of that. But of course, you can see a little. But the Nabari is working out pretty well. Compared to most ficus like this. And then also, since I got it up close here, the next good tree I'm going to bring in comes from this chop right there. Alright, and this is the cutting from that chop there. This one does not have thrips quite as bad as the other one, so I might keep the trimming a little more minimal on this. When you do get wire on there, I'd like to. There's one spot here that I'd really like to get some wire on. That would be this part out here. But what I found, as long as you don't do any hard pruning, they'll stay flexible until you do some hard pruning. So I'd like to kind of maybe just clean this guy up a little bit more and try to get some of the thrips I see that are kind of out at the end. I am going to, as I see them right now, as I'm talking, I'm just going to grab them just to try to make sure I don't miss any by the time I get done. The other side here. I was trying to eventually work the Nabari like I had the other one work there, But 2 years ago when we had the hurricane, I had to do an emergency repot with it. And then it was just kind of settling into that. And then when I finally got contractors like 4 months after the storm to finally come out and do something with Lamilani, they kind of stepped on it as well. I mean, they didn't kind of stepped on it, they really stepped on it. And so I had to do like another emergency repot. So I've been just kind of letting it recover some. It's obviously quite healthy now, but I'd like to just let it be clip and grow for a little while. And then whenever I do repot it, try to straighten that guy out a little bit. Maybe get some wire on it at that point. So I'm just going to kind of clean this guy up a little bit. And then just kind of assess whether or not I want to get wire on it when I'm done. Now what I'm doing now is just kind of envisioning if I was to get some wire on it. Trying to see what I would want left over. And it'd be something about like that, I think. After when I started looking at this guy in its first couple minutes of the video here and everything, I really don't, like I said, don't see near as much evidence of thrips. And so yeah, no wire for this guy today, I don't think. I think I'll just clean it up a little bit. Again, kind of a hope to get most of the growing tips up here. It should signal the tree to bud more. Definitely want to keep all these lower branches, so I don't want it to just grow out of the top there. And once I'm gonna kind of prune some of these tips off here too. Just trying to induce some back budding all over. Try to make sure I get all these leaves out of here. Alright, took a little extra time there, just make sure and clean all the leaves I could out of the substrate. And I think it's looking pretty good for now. Just let it regain some health. Kept letting this piece right here kind of get on me, but then I remembered it is in a training pot. And so I just decided that a little guy wire there will help. And now it doesn't drive me so crazy anymore. It looks pretty good, so we'll let it go like that.